Well, guys, uh, when we talk about PI, very important aspect of PI is checking your personality, and that is the reason why it is always given much weightage as compared to the other aspects of when we say GD or the case discussions and the VAT. And the reason is very simple, because if you have a good personality, then the matter of fact that at the moment you are not a very learned and well-read person can be transformed into being a phenomenally literate and well-educated person. So having that potential, that I have the potential to be transformed into someone completely different when we talk about caliber. Okay. So herein the question of what are your strengths and weaknesses comes with a very important aspect. Now, when we talk about strengths, so generally what happens is that you need to tell them the strengths which are actually genuinely to very much appreciated by your friends, family members, or rather your colleagues, and try to incorporate at least four of your strengths. Okay. Now here I have pointed out few of them. I'll explain them. That milestone focused for goals. Okay. Now, once if someone asks me what are your strengths, so let's say I say that milestone focused for goals. So this in turn, what shows is that I have a bigger picture in my mind, and I divide that bigger picture into sub parts, and I keep on conquering those small steps one step at a time. And once you're saying any of these strengths, just be ready with a live example of what happened in your life. So that, let's say someone asked me what are your strengths, I told them milestone focus for goals. So they'll certainly ask a follow-up question that can you please elaborate how you got this strength, or rather why you think this is your strength. So once they ask why is this is your strength, then I can refer back to my story, my own personal story, where I understood that this aspect of me is my strength. Okay. Now, second one is being optimistic. Certainly, everyone can use this, because you can very well say that despite the fact that I was having COVID at that moment of time, I was doing this, that, and everything else. So this is one very good point. Then adaptable and flexible. Now, adaptable is something which interviewers love, because here you are going as a raw material into their institute, and they want someone of a fine caliber out of it. And if you have the strength of being adaptable, so that is very much appreciated by the professors. Adaptable or flexible. Okay. Now, versatility, they'll love this one, because if you say that I'm versatile, and nowadays every one of us can agree that it was a time of the past when having skill set of a particular domain and particular knowledge would fetch you the best placement or best career aspect when we take when we take up jobs post our MBA. But at the moment, having versatility in the campus itself is very important. They want people who can be great in marketing, great in operations, and along with that, they are great in conducting sessions, be it on the Zoom, be it in the real life, doesn't matter. But having versatile personality is at most important. And if you mention this point, then be ready with 4 or 5 different versatilities of what you have. For example, what I have, I'm good in, talking to people, making people gel together. Okay. The other one is I'm good with sort of robots and other stuff. So this is what my points are, but you need to figure out where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And anyway, you can use the same points, because it's not important that people don't have common strengths. People do have, but story what they have behind their strength needs to be very personal. Now, the other one is eye for detail. Now, this is very much appreciated once you are getting into consulting, because consulting domain is something which totally boils down to one thing: details, details, and details. That's it. So, eye for detail. What kind of detailed information gathering you have? So, for this, what I did was I went to the website of particular institutes, and I told them, sir, for the SIIB, if you go to their website, there is just single mention of the highest packages, like for all the 3 sub branches, right? Let me just quickly check, have they updated it or not. So I mentioned that, sir, on your institute's website, I can see that the highest package for all the 3 sub specializations is equal, which is not possible. Which is not possible. And if you are mentioning the same package as the highest package for all of it, so you should have mentioned the sub specializations. Then what is the point of mentioning the sub specialization? So this is what I did. So yeah, do make it a point that you research through the college which you are targeting, so that you can have 1 or 2, sneak peeks into their problems, or not just the problems. Even if you find something really good on their website, mention it, be it on their website, be it on their LinkedIn page. Most of the institutes don't have a great LinkedIn page, and at the moment, LinkedIn is extremely important, because for today's world, the only way to have a good networking is via the online media, and COVID has actually accelerated this. So do keep in this mind. Then balance of mind, sir. I don't get pissed off very easily, and to do that, between my interviews, they also experienced it, that I was very much cool all time. Now, weaknesses. Having strengths, see, everyone talks about what is good about them, but nobody talks about what is bad about them. And if you know what is bad about you, you in turn have a better understanding of yourself, which you can, on in the near future, modify it and build upon it and get rid of it. So let's say, how many weaknesses we should point? 1 or 2, that's it, not more than that. Preferably 1, but that one should be reflective during your personality. So let's say, if I talk about being impatient, so yes, this is what this is what actual my weakness is. I'm really impatient. I cannot tolerate the time. And if they say that, let's say some of you chose risk management, so how to take decisions holistically. So someone says that, sir, whenever I'm under pressure, I'm not able to manage myself properly. So they'll have a follow-up question, then how do you think you will be a better manager? Give them an answer by saying, so that is the very reason why, that is one of the reason why I am joining an MBA program, because I want to learn from my peers how they do it. So in turn, it will help me out. By giving this answer, you have established one very critical aspect for a professor, that you are here to learn. They don't want you here as in seeking or considering them as a placement agency. Come here, you'll get a good package. They don't want it. They want people who can learn, who can unlearn and relearn. This is equally important. Yeah, guys, this was like quick strengths and weakness. Now I'd like you all to speak a little about your strengths and weaknesses, so others can also understand, including your examples of real life. That will be great.
One thing I would like to add about the weaknesses bit, uh, for some time people have started, making their weaknesses as their strengths. They say ki, "Arey, I focus too much on details, or I have a hard time letting go of a project and stuff like that." So this used to work a few years ago. But now what the panelists would say ki, isn't that a strength? You would say, no, it's in a way a strength. So they would just tell you ki you are playing with us. They would say ki please just be honest and talk about your actual weaknesses and not this, because this is a strength and you're trying to portray that this is one of your weaknesses, but it's actually strength. So this won't play now, because just be honest with your weaknesses. Like Himanshu said, 1 or 2 weaknesses would be sufficient, but that should be very reflective on your personality.
Absolutely. And one more thing, guys, throughout the PI, there should be one or two personality criterias which are like constant throughout constant. For me, it is generally I am impatient when you talk about weakness, and the other one being that I am quite of capitalist mindset. So during my VATs also, I personally feel that I write in that way, and during my PIs also I incorporate data and facts in such a way that they in turn inculcate of or rather project towards of having a mindset which is of capitalists. So do write your own answers and go through it. It will open or rather hang a mirror in front of you what actually it is. And don't try to fool them around. Of course not, because they are twice of our age. What our entire age is, that is the amount of experience which they have in the industry itself. And they are seeing thousands and tons of application per year, per admission cycle. So fooling them won't work.
Yeah. Okay, with this, I would like to say, like Himanshu mentioned, that we should start talking about our strengths or weaknesses. I would just state one of my weaknesses right now, what I can think of just at the moment. Although I have a lot of weaknesses which I can share with you, a list of weaknesses. But while giving the interview, I can't, basically share more than one or two, because they'll think I'm a pile of weaknesses, and I don't want that to happen. So right now, I would, top of the head, I would just say, like Himanshu said, I'm very impatient, and one of the other weaknesses that I have, that I really don't enjoy repeating myself, and that is a part of me being impatient. If I say something and the other person just says, What did you say? Kya bol rahe ho?" I get very surprisingly annoyed, and I sometimes wonder, why am I getting annoyed? They just couldn't hear me out. Why am I getting so annoyed? And I repeat myself, but I have to sustain my impatience at that moment. Oh my god, I have to repeat this again. I have to tell the same story, same statement again. I don't like this. And if the third time they ask again ki I couldn't hear you, you can see the expressions on my face. I'll be, oh my god, really? You couldn't hear me out? I'm not gonna repeat it. That is something I feel is one of my weaknesses. I don't like repeating myself. And if maybe the panelists ask me, okay, so how do you think you will improve that? So like Himanshu said, yeah, that is why I want to see how managers are able to handle this. They repeat almost everything on a daily basis and still are very calm. And I want to learn that. So yeah, that is something I would like to put in right now. Does anybody else want to talk about their weakness or any strength? Strength, I think हाँ सबका होगा, but what about their weaknesses? Any weakness on the top of their head right now?
Weakness, see, if you introduce in a 50-50 blend, let's say you have four strengths and four weaknesses, okay, this is also not good. If you have more weaknesses mentioned than your strength, this is also not good, because this in turn shows that you are quite pessimist, and having a
Yes,
pessimist
absolutely.
mindset is not entertaining anyway, not just in MBA colleges.
Yeah, the strengths should always overpower your strengths and overpower your weaknesses, because it's very obvious. You can't really show more than two or three, more than two weaknesses. Two is still an okay number, but your strengths have to be three or four, so that you show, yes, you are an optimistic person. At least, you should be the first person who should believe in yourself. And if you show more weaknesses in yourself, it clearly shows that you yourself are not believing in yourself. How will the panelists believe that you will be a good fit for this college? कोई बताओ अपनी weaknesses यार.
हाँ यार, इतना सन्नाटा क्यों है? कुछ कुछ भी बता दो यार.
सब perfect है. Everybody's perfect. Himanshu,
So
I'm telling
my
you.
weaknesses, I think that I have a fear of leaving left out, right?
FOMO.
That I
You're
am
an extrovert.
sorry.
FOMO,
Are you an
FOMO.
extrovert? Yeah,
No, no,
fear of
no.
missing.
I'm saying that I have a fear of no, not FOMO exactly. but I am not getting the word about that, so I was not speaking that.
हाँ, इसीलिए ये सब इम्पोर्टेंट है कि आप रिसर्च करो, आप अपने बारे में
Hmm.
पता करो। जैसे मुझे पहले मतलब ये मेरे पिछले साल के वीकनेसेस है, नेटवर्किंग वगैरह से थोड़ा सा मतलब लगता था कैसे बात करें क्या करें, बट अब वो चीज़ नहीं है।
अब जनाब सेशंस ले रहे हैं सबके साथ।
हाँ, अब पैसे भी लेंगे सबसे। हाँ खैर रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है ना या सो।
पेटीएम कर देंगे यार, टेंशन की बात नहीं है। कम ऑन गाइस यार, टॉक
So,
अबाउट योर वीकनेसेस।
सो
so I
गाइस,
can basically say that I
if
have a fear of performance, I guess, and
फियर ऑफ
fear of low
परफॉर्मेंस,
performance, or fear of
या
uh, performing
अंडर
less,
परफॉर्मिंग।
performing, yes, underperforming. So I can improve that by acquiring the knowledge and learning from my peers, and thus I'll improve that. Yes.
And Rajat, what do you think? What are your weaknesses?
Yeah, one of my weaknesses is which Himanshu has mentioned in this Word document, which is a stage fear. But now
Yeah.
have somewhat overcome that fear when I was in college. So when we used to have the co-presentation, the semester presentation of every subject, then I used to fear on going in front of 80 people and speaking about the subject. But now, yes, once I joined the my organization, then this thing I try to like overcome this thing, and then I started interacting more with my colleagues and peers. In my organization I try to overcome this fear, yeah, but still I have this sort of fear to speak in
Yeah.
front of large crowd. Yeah, I am not able to
Yeah.
completely overcome this fear. Yeah.
I would
Pratik,
like to
what
add
what
one
kind
thing
of work
about this.
profile you are looking out for? What kind of post your MBA?
Post your MBA basically I'm looking at FMCG sector here.
FMCG sector.
Yeah, ITC or something like.
Hmm. Then I guess stage fear won't be any problem, because you need to justify your fear as well in accordance with what your plans are after your MBA. Because let's say, for the matter of fact, someone says that I want to get into consulting, and he mentions that I have stage fear. So consulting and stage fear won't go hand in hand at any day.
Yeah, because the client dealing is very much important in this consulting.
And you need to give presentation in a meeting room of with like board of
Yeah, it is a very
directors.
high stress
Hmm.
job, consulting.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
So that
Yeah,
in
I
turn won't suffice. So you need to look what your weakness is and need to connect the dots of your different answers, like why MBA, post MBA, and then just rethink that whether somewhere down the line is it going to hamper my PI in any way. If not, then it's justified. But if it does, then you have to come up with a different answer.
I think I had the same stage fear like Rajat mentioned, and very similar story. My college presentations and attending group discussions there helped me a lot. I remember I have a funny story. Well, and I was in my first semester. So while you are in 12th, 11th, you don't necessarily speak so much. You just have to give the best in your boards and just get on with your life and get a good college. So in the first semester, I remember when I was introducing myself, or forget that, when I was giving the first presentation of a subject, a group presentation, not even an individual presentation, I my legs were shaking badly. My legs were shaking so much I couldn't even control it. It was lucky that nobody saw, but I could feel my legs shaking so much. And I remember when I gave the last presentation in my third year, I was so confident. I was joking around. I was joking around in the presentation in a very professional way, not in a "Arey, ye kyun aise khada hai?" or stupid shit, not something stupid, but in a very funny way. Like, okay, we all know, if for example the business law, the presentation is about business law subject. I said, okay, so as we all know, nobody likes to study business law. Like, I made the conversation, I made the presentation funny because I was comfortable. So yeah, this stage fear is, I think, very prominent in a lot of us, and it only goes by speaking.
Yeah, stage fear is, I think, one of the most common fear which people will speak in their MBA interview. Yeah. Everyone will, I think, 1 out of 2 persons will definitely say this stage fear.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
stating it is a different thing. You need to
And
justify
how
it
you
also.
overcame, and yeah, that
Yeah.
is also
No,
important.
no,
Like,
no,
what
no.
are
Yeah,
you
How you
doing?
overcame? If you have already overcome, then how come it's your weakness?
No,
You
no,
cannot
like
focus
Yeah.
how
on your
you are
weakness
working
at
towards it.
that
Yeah.
moment. You are expecting to come out of it post MBA. This is one learning curve which you are putting it out in your PI. That this
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
this which I want to get rid of during my MBA. So you
So one
cannot
can
add
say that,
something.
like, I have somewhat overcome it, but I am not 100% like still confident. So one can say like
I'm
that I'm
working on it.
continuously
That's
improving.
this.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
working on
improving
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they might ask you, how are you working on it? You can give an explanation of how you have involved yourself in presentations or in your college,
Company or
group
yeah,
present,
something.
group discussions, everything. Yeah, company presentations and everything. So that would help.
it. Mhm.
Uh, Dimpy or Rajat has done. Dimpy, would you like to mention some of your weaknesses?
Some of not some of
One or
currently
two.
what is in my head, basically I have a fear of being judged. I think like whatever I'm just going to speak or tell or share, people will judge me in any case. Just I have this bigger fear. And another thing I have, I think this the two side of a coin. Like this is, I can say this is my strength, being pessimistic, being optimistic, and parallelly I have the weakness as being optimistic. So these are the two fears I have. There are lots of fears, but currently I can recognize only these two.
So
I
Mhm.
you one
think
of your fears
I
is
can.
being too optimistic.
Yes.
Hello. I asked you, like, is you think that one of your weaknesses is being too optimistic? Is that what you said?
Not being optimistic is my strength, and being sometimes being pessimistic is my weakness.
Okay.
So I cannot make a balance between this. So this is actually a mess.
And that is
Understandable.
I
completely
think
fine.
that you are
But
feeling
do
this
work
being
and
judged
find
thing.
something
Yeah, go ahead.
solid incident in your life which you can demonstrate as an example also.
Where
Like
your pessimism and
why
your
do you think
optimism work.
you have a fear of being judged? Why do you think? Just answer it yourself out, not at the very moment, but yeah, while framing your answers, do have.
Hmm. Okay, fine.
You can bring about a story, life story, that you did something, or you spoke something, and you realize that you are being judged a lot. That might make the panelist understand your perspective as to why you feel it's your weakness, and they might give you a sympathetic reply like, no, 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 you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't judge. You shouldn't worry about people judging you. You have done a good job. You will do a good job, and it will just create a very positive scenario at that time. It might if you give them a very reasonable explanation as to why you fear that people would judge you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
might be.
Yeah. Okay,
I
guys,
think
I
I think
guess
the cause is self-doubt, basically, that you are kind of self-doubting yourself. So that's why you are having the fear of being judged. If you don't self-doubt yourself and uh, accept you as you are, then this fear or this weakness will be removed from your list.
so.
Yeah.
I guess we are done for the day. And
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
Yes,
stop
it
this.
was a long session.
हाँ, अरे अभी तो बहुत छोटा हो रहा है। लास्ट ईयर में 7 बजे से लेकर रात को 12 बजे तक हम लोग करते थे।
By the way, मेरे साथ